My name's Lauren Silverstein. I'm a playwright, and I'm playwright of a play called Confessions of a College Student, which is being put on by the Talking It Out Play Festival. I hope that you'll all come see it and that you come talk about mental health issues with other people. Please support this festival and support all these artists who are putting it on. I first fell in love in theater when I was part of the fall dramas in my high school. I found it really fun because all of the people involved were friends of mine, and the community aspect of theater was something that I always really enjoyed. So that was one of the first things that I learned to love about theater. And then in high school as well, I took a dramatic literature class, and it was all about reading plays and doing acting and that kind of thing. And I just really fell in love with theater as a written form. And that kind of started my love of playwriting as well. I first fell in love with writing in 6th grade in elementary school. I wrote a poem for the first time, and I showed it to my parents, and they were like, "Oh, this is actually pretty good." And that was the first time I remember thinking that I could write something that matters to someone else. And after that, I just didn't stop writing. No matter what it was, I was writing something. And after a little while, I realized that it could be a career, which is something that still feels kind of crazy to think. And so that was what kind of fueled my love to go to college for writing and for theater. I think the thing I like most about writing plays is that the playwright is largely insignificant after they finish writing. Despite like their words being impactful, there's so many other collaborators involved in the playwriting process after the play is written. So it feels like I, as a writer, don't need to have everything figured out, which is something that I find really comforting, that I don't need to have everything figured out and ready to share, and that other people can find something in my writing to connect with in order to build a full play around. My process in creating play, it changes from play to play, but I think generally I find a theme or an idea that is interesting to me, and I start writing from that idea. And over time, I build scenes and stuff after that. Like, I don't think of the whole story before I even start writing. I just start writing, see what I have, and then figure out how to piece together a story from that. So that's kind of my writing process. I think theater connects to the audience in a way that a ton of other media doesn't. You're in a room with other people who are experiencing what you're experiencing at the exact same time. That TV, you're through a screen, you have something blocking you from your audience. Books, it's already written and a reader gets to pick it up themselves. So there's always something like blocking you from your audience. But with theater, you're in the room with them and you can feel what they feel, and you can have this connective experience together, which I think is amazing. So I first found out about it on the website New York City Playwrights, which I really like looking at for things to apply to for playwrights. And I found the way it was talked about there about a virtual theater arts festival about mental health. I thought that I really connected to that, and that it felt like something that was important. It felt like, yeah, it felt like a worthy like cause to actually support and to put my play towards. And it also connected to things that I already knew were in the play that I picked, which is Confessions of a College Student. I knew that it could speak to the theme of the festival, and I also felt like the theme of the festival could speak to the play. The idea for this play was largely autobiographical. It's taken from my own memories and experience in my life, my relationship with my parents, and my experience in high school and college. And it was also developed as like a way to deal with and cope with like experiences that happened in my life. Um, so I I had to write it because I wasn't dealing with it any other way, and writing was a form of closure for myself. And then once I wrote it, I realized, once I tried to write it anyway, I realized that it was, I think it would help someone else. And I think it would help an audience that needs to see a play about someone who can live through something terrible and come out the other side, and who can grow and develop from something that happened in their life. And I think it also speaks to how we talk about mental health, um, which is why I love this festival, because it's talking it out. It's in the name, about how we talk about mental health, how can we deal with it, which I think is what I really admire about my play. The story is called Confessions of a College Student, and it's about a character named Dolly and also another character named Lauren, who are the same person, and how they're trying to deal with this trauma that happened in their life, that 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 they were very depressed for a long time, and that they didn't have help. And Dolly is still stuck in that, while Lauren, a little older, is able to reflect on her story a bit more. And so Lauren's telling this story as Dolly is experiencing it. I want the audience to get an understanding of what it feels like to have depression, as well as an understanding of how hard it is to talk about mental health issues in general, and how important it is to talk about them. How we can't really have closure, have any sort of healing without dealing with it or talking about it, but that each person who's encountering mental health issues in someone else does not need to be involved in the recovery process, and that like it can be difficult to deal with mental health issues, even if it's especially if it's someone close to you. I think I'm looking forward to see how people react to a virtual play, virtual plays around mental health, and about really about like mothers and daughter relationships in some ways. And I think also I'm interested to see how we can connect in a virtual format, despite it being after COVID, having theater in that format. I'm also excited to see the ways in which like each play can talk to each other, that despite being different, there's like ways that these plays can be in conversation with each other, and in conversation with the audience that's coming to see it. I think the viewers must watch the Talking It Out Festival in March, because it's dealing with mental health issues in a format that's really widely accessible to audiences, that is accessible to anyone who has a computer, and is supporting a good cause as well, that the donations are going to support a mental health charity. And so that is why you should come see it. And also to learn about mental health, to learn about depression, to learn about these things in a format that's more theatrical, more enjoyable, more fun than other formats. I think it's important for community members to support local theaters, and especially festival, because it shows that you're receptive to the messages that you're hearing in these theater productions, and that you care about continuing to spread these messages to other people. Like these donations are helping Talking It Out continue. They're helping this charity continue doing work for other people, and it's also important to show that you support the messages that are being spread. I think I just want to mention that I think this festival is supported by a ton of creative people, a ton of really amazing people who are dedicating their time and their assistance to putting on a really great show. So I'm really happy that it's happening. My name's Lauren Silverstein. I'm a playwright, and I'm playwright of a play called Confessions of a College Student, which is being put on by the Talking It Out Play Festival. I hope that you'll all come see it and that you come talk about mental health issues with other people. Please support this festival and support all these artists who are putting it on.